Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video. My fiancé, 26 female, and I, 26 male, have been going out since we were 18. We met during sophomore year of high school. We shared the same art class and did not talk until the last couple of months of the school year. I remember being huge math and science nerds. We had bonded over our dislike for art. We became great friends and hung out with each other pretty often. There was nothing romantic between us, and in fact, we both had different partners in junior year, and we all hung out together at times, but like most high school relationships, they came to an end within a couple of months. This brought me and my fiancé closer during this time period as we acted as each other's support network through the breakup and the change that was brought in our lives due to graduation. This closeness revealed a side of us to each other that made us fall for each other, and the rest is history. I believed that we were a strong and driven couple that would be there for each other and help each other to achieve everything that we had dreamt of. From high school, we had been there for each other during our darkest days. When we went off to college, we had managed a long distance relationship, and that made my belief of the fact that we could endure anything, even distance, stronger. We both received our bachelor's and decided to go to colleges which were close to each other for our masters. We rented an apartment together, and with the additional time we got to spend together, our relationship became even stronger. Just like that, the 2 years of our masters had also passed, and we both found great jobs in our respective career fields. 3 years have passed since we graduated, and life has been going as well as it possibly could. Hell, I could even say that it almost feels like I'm having the American dream. With an amazing girlfriend, a big house, supportive family and friends, I believe that I have it all. So about a year and a half ago, I decided to ask my girlfriend to marry me. I still remember the day vividly. My mind was filled with nervousness, yet excitement for us to start a new chapter of our lives. We were by the beach when I asked her the question. I still remember how we both teared up and held each other in our arms when she said yes. It is like the moment had engraved on my mind. After 7 months of being engaged, I was overjoyed to find out that my fiancée was pregnant with our baby. It is the best gift she could have given me in a million years, and there's nothing much I could have asked for. We celebrated the pregnancy with our families, went for the ultrasounds, and had started to plan the baby nursery. In all of this also came picking out a name for our baby. When my fiancé first brought up a very epic African-sounding name for our baby, I just told her that it was a nice name and nothing more than that. The name was unisex too. I did not think much of it, as I believed that she had just read it somewhere and did not plan to name our baby that. Now, I don't mind having a unisex name, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to give my child a name from a culture that they weren't in touch with. After the first time of bringing up that name, I assume she took my silence as a yes. I only found this out when I heard her tell my sister-in-law the name so that she could knit it on the blanket she was making for our baby. I thought this was very unfair, as being the father, I knew I had a say in the name of my child as much as she did. So, with much hesitation, I decided to talk to her about the issue. I knew I had to broach the topic as gently as I could. I know she has been feeling sensitive emotionally and ruining her mood. Till this extent was the last thing I wanted to do. So when I got home from work, I sat her down and explained everything I had been feeling. I told her that although I would love our child, regardless of what name we would decide to give her, I think it is unfair for me to not get a say in it at all. I also explained to her what I felt about giving our child a name that is of African descent, and she blew up. She started berating me about how I'm only holding things above her head because she no longer works, how I am a racist because I don't want to name my child from another culture, and so much more. Her reaction absolutely shocked me as I sat there in silence. She then got up and started packing her bag, telling me she is leaving the house for some time. I tried to convince her to stay, but it seemed like she had made up her mind long before. She left, and now I'm just sitting here thinking about everything that just happened. This is the first time she has ever blown up at me in this manner, which is why I feel so conflicted. I am here for any advice, judgment you would all like to give me. AITA for telling my fiance that I want a part to name our child and that I don't want to give them a name from a culture that we don't belong in. I decided to sleep on my thoughts last night as I was too stressed. I woke up to a million texts and calls from my fiance's side of the family berating me for what I had done. I genuinely did not think my fiance would involve her family in our matters and that we could come to a resolution. I took the advice most of you all gave that I should sit my fiance down and have another conversation with her, and that's what I decided to do. I had to go for a sonography with her today, and that's where I decided to talk to her. My plan was to pick her up from her mom's place and have a conversation with her after the appointment. However, when I tried to contact her, she did not answer any of my calls or texts, and neither did my mother in law. So I decided to drive by my in law's house, where my sister in law informed me that my fiance was taken to her appointment by my mother in law. My sister in law was stern and extremely cold with her answers. I knew if I tried to ask her any more questions, it would be of no use as she would not answer anything, so I decided to leave. I drove myself to my mother's house, where I am right now. I'm feeling very hurt and distraught over the situation. It feels like it is my fiance who is holding my child over my head to get her way. I did not think this is what would come out of a time I expected to celebrate and cherish with my fiance. I think I'm going to talk to my family about this. I will update you guys on what happens next. A month has passed since I last updated. A lot has happened, but in summary, my fiance and I still live separately. Although it feels like a blessing in disguise now, back then it felt like the worst month of my life because I would constantly beat myself up over the fact that I wasn't a good father or partner for not being able to be there for the mother of my child. Throughout this period, every time I tried to talk to my fiancée, she would throw a fit, claiming that I had broken her trust by not letting her choose the name and that it proved to her the proof that I would be the same in the future. According to her, she wasn't aware of my bigoted opinions, otherwise, she would have never gotten engaged to me. I still cannot wrap my head around these arguments, but it's not like it matters anymore, anyways. But now, onto the current situation. My fiance went into labor today, and even though I wasn't allowed into the delivery room, I was called by my mother in law to see the baby. I rushed to the hospital along with my mother, and by the time we had gotten there, they had taken my fiance into the delivery room to have the baby. There, along with my mother in law, I see Malik. Malik is my wife's boss, waiting there even before any of us had gotten here. I did not give it a thought at that moment as I was stressed about the delivery. A few hours had passed and my mom and her siblings had also showed up, and we engaged in a small conversation. There, I found out through my sister in law that my fiance was brought here by Malik. This instantly raised red flags as my fiance had been out of work for about 5 months now. I didn't question my sister in law too much and just continued to wait around. About 6 hours later, my fiance had finally given birth. What was more suspicious was that Malik was here the entire 6 hours that my wife was in the delivery room, claiming he wanted to be there for us. When we were given the all clear, I was surprisingly the first one allowed in to see the baby. I find my fiancée laying on the bed, beaming. Her demeanor towards me has changed completely as I find her saying things like she loves me and she's glad that we finally have our little bundle of joy, etc., etc. Well, I'm left wondering the reason behind her changed attitude until I figure out why. The nurse walks in pushing the baby in her little crib, and it hits all of me. Malik, my fiance, the baby. It was like all the dots connected. I see the baby in the crib, the baby who is half black, and I recognize who the dad is. It's Malik, the man there to support us the entire time. My fiance instantly figured the reason behind my reaction as she kept going on about the baby, asking me things like if I find her beautiful and how she's going to make our life so much better. Hearing my fiance's voice made me sick to my stomach. I decided to walk out of the hospital with my mom and just leave my mother-in-law there at the hospital with Malik. I am completely shattered and disheartened right now as I type this. My phone has been once again blowing up from my fiance's side of the family, but this time with apologies, which I'm not sure what to do with. I have informed my mom to let them know to not contact me again, as I am not interested in talking to them or my fiance. Thankfully, I have not signed the birth certificate or any of the documents concerning the baby. I will be moving out of the house as soon as I can. About 3 months have passed since this mess of a situation went down. Since then, I have moved out of the house I used to share with my fiance. I have taken up new hobbies, joined the gym, and started therapy. Everything has been going well, but with a lot of ups and downs. This doesn't seem to be the case for my ex fiance. She had to move out of our house as she could not afford the maintenance of it without my contribution. She wasn't taken back into her old job due to reasons but receives child support from Malik. No, they are not together. When we found out that the baby was his before she gave birth, he made it clear to my fiance that he would not be leaving his family for her, and that he had no interest in playing a part in the baby's life. I assume she thought that he'd want to leave his wife of 10 years and play happy family for someone he knocked up within 4 months of fooling around. That is why she was so adamant about the name. She was made to resign from her job for the same reason. I heard of this through my sister-in-law, who visited me to give her my apologies, which I accepted, as I knew she was just a victim of my ex-fiance's life. And no, she did not name the baby the name she was so adamant about. Not sure why, considering the fact that she basically tore apart our relationship for it. But it is no longer my concern now. I want to thank you all for your support and kind words again. NTA, it seems suspicious how stuck OP's fiance is on the name. It might be the name of an ex, affair partner, or someone. Fiance's reaction seems very much on the top as well, an extra if she wanted to get out of the house and was just looking for a reason to. All of this combined makes this something that OP definitely might need to look into. I'm a 17-year-old guy. We had been going through pretty rough months in my family. There was tension between my mom and dad. They weren't talking to each other, and when they did, it was only to fight. After months of constant fighting, they decided to get divorced. That was 2 years ago. And NGL, when they divorced, the one who suffered the most was my dad. He never put on a sad face when he was with us, but I could hear him cry in his room when he thought we were asleep. For the record, I'm the youngest and I have a brother, 19, and a sister, 20. After this, the fighting didn't stop, so now they fight for which of us loves them more. If I'm honest, my siblings and I are inclined with my dad. He has always taken good care of us, helps us through everything, and he listens to us. Not like my mom. She's never been there. There have always been more important things to attend to or pay attention to rather than us. I never mind it since my dad was always there. My mom is a pretty important lawyer in our city. Meanwhile, my dad has a PhD in physics and works as a college professor. After their divorce, we stayed with my dad. We see my mom like 1 day per week, and only if she has time. We kind of never see her because she's always reschedules. So months ago, Mom told us that she was going to get married to this dude who we have never seen. His name is Richard, but asked us to call him Rick. She said we all should get along. Since then, it has been a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, he is cool, I guess, but I do find him a bit odd. He always tries to spend time with me and buys me stuff like clothes, books, etc. He even asks me when I'm available so we can have dinner. I mean, I'm polite towards him, but I just can't connect with him. I feel like it's a forced relationship. And he is not like that with my other siblings. Well, my dad too. He is civil towards him, but there's definitely tension between them. Last week, my brother wanted to try a new recipe. He loves cooking. So he invited my mom and Rick. At first, we were surprised my mom and dad kept civil with each other. We were having a nice conversation, but Rick kept complimenting us, specifically me, that I was an incredible person, very smart, blah, blah. My dad agreed, but this dude kept insisting we were so much alike and that by spending so much time with him, he considers me already his son. That death hurt my dad, and I just lost it. I told him to leave me alone. He was being creepy. My dad told me to not call Rick names, and my mom did too. She told me that I was being a brat and that I should behave because Rick would be part of my family and another parental figure to me. I said he wouldn't and that I won't go to her wedding if she marries a creep like him. I stormed off and went to my room. My siblings think I am in the wrong, but my mom insists I was a spoilt brat and I should apologize to Rick. AITA? Damn, I only came here to find out if I was in the wrong. I just don't know what to say to you. I added the quotation marks to be sarcastic since I don't think we look so alike as he says. Now, you really have me worried and wondering. So I didn't want to address this with my dad right away, so I consulted Anne first, my sis. She's the most intelligent person I know, so I asked her. She had the same feeling as me, that Rick was getting way too close to me. And in comparison to her, he is stone cold. Now, every time Rick wants to spend time with me, they'll be there too, Anne and Leo, my brother. And just like you guys, she asked me to talk to my dad. I did. I sat with my dad and told him about everything, that I didn't feel comfortable around Rick anymore. I appreciated all the effort, but he was pushing way too hard my boundaries. And, like you advised, if mom doesn't understand she can't force a relationship with an actual stranger on me, then I'd rather stop seeing her. My dad understood. He asked me to forgive him for not knowing my feelings towards Rick. He did say that Rick is trying the best he can to get to know each one of us, but he has no say on when we should open up or act like a stalker. He said he'll talk to them, but I told him I'd rather do it since mom may act like I'm not being serious or worse. We'll have dinner with them, Anne, Leo, and I, next Wednesday, so wish me luck. NTA, it seems like you were polite and accepted his relationship with your mother until he went too far. You could have said it a little nicer and in private, but he kind of deserved it. Trust your instincts if you think he's a creep. That level of singling you out and giving you gifts, etc., definitely has some red flags as to his motives.